So what stage of the crop is this?
See, now it is harvest season, right? I think you'll look around, you'll see paddy is almost in the mature stage of ready to harvest.
Right.
On the other side, you also see green, which is being built for the next crop.
Next crop.
And
Right.
if you'll see all around, the paddy crops are now ready to give the much needed food supply for the country as a whole. Yeah.
So when would this be ready for harvest?
So this I would probably assume maybe another 15-20 days. You'll see this completely empty.
Oh.
Yeah, it's now right now filled with paddy crops.
Okay.
15 days will be empty. Then they'll get ready for the next season of crops.
Right.
Most of the time, this paddy crop is about 90 days cycle.
Okay.
Every 90 days, then you give a gap of about 1.5 months. This is called about 45 days for you to plow the land. Then you put the seeding. Then you get ready for planting. Then ready for harvesting. The entire cycle. So about 90 days from the time you plant to harvest is about 90 days.
Okay.
From the time you do the seeding and ready to plant is about 45 days. So in 360 days you can count how many number of times you can actually make the agriculture land to deliver goods for you.
Then we are at the right place when we are
Exactly.
talking about agriculture.
Yeah.
Sir, I
It's
have
also the right place for one simple reason. Rural economy is the integral part of the Bharat,
Absolutely.
India. That's why the rural economy is actually contributing to the nation's growth.
True.
So therefore, we are at the right place to talk about the right,
Right
message.
sector.
Right sectors.
Sir, I have seen you in a completely different avatar of an investment professional. You know so much about agriculture. When did you grow this interest, or was it sort of a natural extension of, having been born and brought up here?
See, one thing is, of course, living in the village, you must be a landowner.
Right.
Need not necessarily how big is the land ownership. You'll have 1 acre of land, 2 acres of land.
Right.
That's one of the living.
Right.
It's most of the people live in rural India. Their main living is coming from agriculture land. Therefore, you own lands. It's all from ancestral land. Most of these families, when they have the land, is one of their ancestral property. They don't want to give up. So they want to continue actually nurture the agriculture. When you are living in the village, naturally you develop interest to support the parents. Not that you have interest to agriculture,
Right.
but to support the parents. Because the parents actually is living here and they do have a lot of passion for agriculture activities.
Right.
Then you must support them. So
Right.
my learning on agriculture activities is coming by being with the parents, looking at people around, and then what good it can have, it can do. See, as you start growing up, when you start understanding investment world, you start understanding how the economy is driven.
Functions.
That is the time you realize the importance of agriculture economy, how actually adds to the national GDP growth.
Sitting in Bombay, with such a busy schedule that you have, is it difficult to manage operations of the farm, or technology has bridged the gap?
See, if you have to look at it from the past and today, maybe if you ask these questions about 15 years back or 20 years back, then naturally the answer would have been a little tough. Now technology completely has changed.
Correct.
Today the mobile penetration, all of us feel proud as an Indian. About 65 crores Indian population, maybe 70 crores Indian population must be users of smartphone.
Right.
And they know better in terms of how to use YouTube and other things.
Right.
And WhatsApp, taking image. So therefore the connectivity is much better. So today for planting, right from seeding to a planting, harvesting, you have mechanization has come. This technology has come. And seeds are now being readily available. The government supports quite nicely. For one to manage agriculture activities, as long as you have a few trusted people, you need to also have a few trusted people at the ground to take care of them. So now what I do is have kept people on a monthly salary basis. They do take care of the activities. Of course, family members, brothers and sisters, they of course once in a while they come and then see the land, how it's progressing. And sometimes we all come during the harvest time, just ensure harvest is done properly.
Right.
And it goes taken to the Food Corporation of India.
Okay.
So in the case of Tamil Nadu, it's called Tamil Nadu Civil Supply Corporation.
Okay.
A minimum support price that's being provided by the government of India. At that price, the Tamil Nadu Civil Supply Corporation will procure the paddy crop. You need to, of course, have put it in your calendar. Saturday means you just take an update and
Right.
and see. In the early days,
Right.
we used to, of course, most of the parts of India. In Tamil, we call it as a Manam Partha Bhumi. Manam means you have to wait for, you have to look for the sky
Okay.
and see whether the rain will come. On basis which you do your planning of planting and harvesting, you need to estimate whether the water at all will be there. But today it is not there because the dam levels are much better. You do, of course, get intimate information about the the water storage levels across the country, dam levels. I think if you look at the Indian economy, if you look at most of the economists, they put one item on their review, which is the water dam level across the country, which will not only be sufficient for meeting the drinking needs of the country, also sufficient for meeting the agriculture needs of the country.
Agricultural.
So all those things today is available in the net.
Right.
It's available in online platform, and you can monitor very closely. That's something I keep track once in a while as part of my interest. Of course, the support system always has to work.
There are so many lessons and learnings in business from agriculture, right? Resource management, planning, risk assessment, future patterns. Like for example, in agriculture, you need to figure out climate patterns, etc. There is so much to learn there. So my next question to you would be something around how do we correlate that in the field of investments?
First and foremost principle
Right.
on investment is a common sense approach.
Right.
And if you draw a parallel of that common sense approach, what you learn from the agriculture land, see, it's all about common sense approach.
Right.
There is a planning and advance estimate that you have to make for predicting the weather, nature, what crop that will can do better value, all those things, right? This all comes as a part of that.
Right.
So that's something from investment point of view also. You have to optimize your return. You have to optimize, you increase the output as much as possible within the given constraints in which you work. The same agriculture teaches you on that. You have to always remain agile. You have to always remain energetic to give you the right output on the investment side. The same thing if you look at agriculture, you have to ensure the agriculture land remain fertile throughout the year by keep doing something or other to ensure the land does not lose its output, which for us is actually learning.
Yeah.
The learning is a continuous learning.
Right.
Is something which upgrading your skills, upgrading your knowledge, get adapted to the latest technology trend that changes in the investment world that all of us have to do. In the same way, agriculture side, mechanization, it's something you need to learn. And if you keep thinking about this way we were doing in the past, therefore I will not adapt the mechanizations. There's high probability the land will remain without doing harvesting because you're not using the latest technology that is available.
True. As a hands-on agriculturist, what are the changes that you have seen in the way agriculture is done in India?
Maybe last 2 decades, there has been a significant progress that has come, which is essentially right from your seeds, selection of seeds, which can give you a better output. So that for every acre that you have, you need to optimize the return for every acreage of cultivation that you do. So for which you have to choose the right crops, right seeds, and so that you can get the maximum benefit for the hard work that you bring. See, at the end of the day, a lot of toiling happens in agriculture land. So move away from dependent on labor force to use the better methods which Government of India has been advocating, promoting, that how to increase the output on agriculture, which essentially looking at various crops that can give better output, and use mechanization for quick disposal of the harvest that is being done. In the early days, I used to wait for procurement to happen through the private procurers. Now the government of India has been each government, state government, have also been quite conscious about food security in India. Right. From a farmer's point of view, whatever the uncertainty in which he lives, to large extent that uncertainty comes down.
I'm guessing villages are very different now. So what are those shifts possibly that you have seen?
I think first and foremost, aspiration of people, living style is changing because this generation, whether it is urban, whether it is rural, they are also born with the same digital technology,
Right.
in which every person is giving a birth in the world. It doesn't differentiate, right? Technology actually connects rural to India
Right.
and semi-urban. So that's one big change I'm saying. Because technology is available, the knowledge levels are high. The knowledge levels are high. They may, of course, learning it from their own local languages. Not necessarily they will learn in English or Hindi, and vary depending upon which language they speak. But the fact of the matter is, the knowledge dissemination is equal across things. As a result of that, the rural public at large are also becoming savvy on information availability.
Right.
They're becoming more aware.
Right.
Aspiration levels are rising. The kids actually wants to also pursue lead a good life, either being a working professional or being a self-employed professionals. So the big change that also is coming, entrepreneurial nature. I think given the fact that everyone will not be able to get employed in a larger firms, then what they do? Then they find themselves, rather discover themselves whether they can actually do any kind of. These are all self-help group which helps. Even the government of India, some of the schemes do help them to set up their own shops and clinics and whatnot. So that's the entrepreneurial kind of thing also is now has come. So this is I see as a shift in the rural India, and which I would assume is beginning.
As a result of these shifts, have the consumption patterns in rural India changed?
Every households have to have the minimum needs that they have to have,
Right.
which is nothing but like pressure cookers and TVs and mixies and grinder and washing machine types. And these are now become fridge. They all become now essential commodities from a household's point of view.
Right.
The rural India, do they hesitate to spend money on them? Absolutely no. I think they do spend money on them. So they actually increase the consumption. Second is travel. At the end of the day, everyone want to lead a happy life. The self-sustainability model that they look at definitely leads them to make them think about spending. I think rural India spending is also restricted to what they get income. I think you can't expect them to spend more money. Definitely they borrow and invest. Of course, they borrow either from organized players like banks. They also, of course, borrow from private financiers whenever there is a need. They don't hesitate to spend money, even if they have to borrow and put. So this is where I think they have probably may go through their own period of strains and the financial constraints, financial strains, and then again they come back. So that's why I think they all go through these kind of cycles. But the fact of the matter is the spending habits in the rural India is rising.
And what sort of innovations in, maybe in the last 5 years or something, with the advent of fintechs or microfinance institutions getting deeper, what are some of these, again, shifts that you have observed, and what else can be done? Because access of capital and awareness is very important at the same time to both fuel consumption and at the same time maybe make entrepreneurship more robust as well in rural India. So tell us your views on that.
I think bigger constraint for them is money. I think rest all is there. So they can put the hard work, they can work as much as possible. There is no laziness, and they will be able to fully utilize their individual potential to give their best outputs.
Correct.
So definitely they need some bit of guidance. That guidance in the form of a skill set improvement, make them think what they can do better. So that something is related to the skill set.
Correct.
Give them some idea about what business they can run, which will make them not only earn more, also lead a happy life. That's something is definitely there is a huge scope. Second is what the bigger cost of pain point is the cost of financing. So a lot of this private financing they will take. Private financing, they may not realize how actually can have a huge negative impact on their purse, which is sometimes people live only on paying interest. So which is not good for them.
Correct.
So I think cost of financing can definitely come down, and the less dependence on private financing and more dependent on organized financial lenders such as banks. Today, the banks, whether it is public sector bank, private sector banks, do provide reasonably loans at reasonably good rates. Only thing that should be made available. I think credit culture in generally rural India is not to cheat, is not to default. If they come under constraints or strains, there are some reasons for that. It could be agriculture land will not give the right output, but they have the land space. They have land space, they have a little bit of wealth that they have. Not necessarily we should take the wealth as a security, but I think probably the period of lending. So you cannot expect them to actually do a servicing of debt every 3 months, 6 months, when he himself doesn't get income.
Right.
So the model can probably be changed, which is the longer period, gestation period kind of things.
Okay.
Can be provided, for which one need to have deep commitment to one private capital. Second, you need to also have some element of what you call nation building, social spirit has to be there, which is what the social benefit, what the government of India is doing, which is a direct benefit transfer.
Right.
So all actually pointing towards that.
Correct. And the aspect about access to better quality of healthcare and education, which is also essential to bridge the urban and rural divide which is there. So what can be done there?
See, one area where definitely the corporates can do out of their CSR and other activities is improving the education system in the school itself, in the rural school itself. But I think the elementary education, if it's made far more better with the help of corporates, the talent pool that can come out of India could be a lot higher.
So what is your vision of rural India and how do you see it evolve going forward?
I think given the fact that 75 to 80% of the population lives in rural India,
Right.
maybe the number could have now come down to about 70%, and the large population will still remain. 80% of the food security of the country, or maybe even 90% of the food security of the country is coming from rural India.
Right.
It deserves a lot more attention. So I think the way things are progressing, I would assume the moment Bharat as one it comes, probably it will actually remove the divide between rural and semi-urban, urban, because you will not find much difference between rural India versus this. I think the way things are, literacy levels are rising. I would imagine that you will find people working across different parts of the country and world can work from the rural India itself, because connectivities are much better from a work from kind of model.
Right.
Can definitely make people use their own native place to actually serve the world. So I would assume the next 10 years, I see this kind of evolution happening.
So this has been an absolute education, I would say, to learn and understand rural India in this way, and it is very heartening to see the rural transformation, as we call it, and as this episode is called, truly happening, and we are seeing those green shoots happening. So thank you for all your insights.
Thank you, Martha. I'm sure rural India will be the largest contributor to the economic growth. Let us hope for the best.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.